So, who's ready to start a game called Without Romance? By Moonlit Works. Oh, my mouse is gone. Oh, I'm gonna have to use my stream to see where my mouse is. Awkward. Okay, read. An outsider would likely not believe it. I can still barely believe it myself. What'd I do? If I wake up and realize this is all just a dream, I won't be surprised. A fairy tale? That's the only way I can describe it. I loved those stories as a kid, fantasizing about being one of the many princesses. And now here I sit. Let me turn the volume up a little bit. Enjoying the view with Prince Charming by my side. Just like how those stories end. Trying to keep what little cold air I have in here. Except, love is not our happy ending. Oh dear. That's why this game's called Without Romance? There had once been a time I had dreams, a time I had dared to have hopes of my own in life, but to fly free and explore all the world had to offer. How childish I'd been to think that I could escape to become more than I was. Yet as a child, my folly knew no bounds. My eyes had been glued to the pages of a solitary book. The vibrant colors faded from overuse. The shining white castles turned to dull gray. I once asked my mother what it might be like to live in such a castle. She'd stop, gently laid down her dishcloth, and turned to tell me a story. A realm of banquets, rooms aplenty, and best of all, the home of Prince Charming. A gallant gentleman, she'd said. Not that 9-year-old me knew what a gallant gentleman was. In our city, the Yamatos were as close to fairy tale royalty as we could ever dream of finding. Their land was spacious, their house warm, and their stomachs full. Everything that ours were not. But how could we ever hope to compare? Their prestige was unmatched, and their dedication to tradition unrivaled. Even their marriages couldn't escape their pedigree. What they sought? Only the finest. And yet somehow, someway, I'd planted a seed in the minds of my parents, that their little girl had dreams of grandeur, to be clad in finery, to lead the life of a princess. It made sense then that my mother and father would put the wheels in motion to set me upon a path to a throne for which I barely qualified. My merits? Simply that I was one of the most intelligent for my age. With near nothing to my name, there was no better way to pass the time than to commit whatever knowledge I could find to memory. Such was how I had gone year after year with only the finest of grades. How convenient, then, that intellect sat at the top of the Yamato's pecking order. I would have once thought beauty would be key, but every family has their own tastes, and they were no different. Are you saying you're not beautiful? Or you're not the most beautiful? The reception room is filled with girls my age. Maybe a few are a year older, but that isn't the biggest difference. Dressed in frills and vibrant colors, these girls chatter away. I can tell many already know one another. Maybe it's an aloofness I put out that keeps them away, but more likely it's the patched-up clothes my mother had handed me earlier that day. Only the finest for our little princess, she'd said, combing my hair. I should have known. I have no place at this ball, and I have not the blessing of Cinderella. I hear he's quite handsome. He must be quite dashing. Really? My mom told me the young master was the quiet type. Well, that's nothing but servant gossip. The talk around me only cements my place here. What could I even offer these people? My own lips mutter treason. A glance around shows the candidates forming their own groups, as a hierarchy of extravagance forms. Few of us still stand alone, even one girl who would make a fine addition to any social circle. Her golden hair bobs as she bounces in excitement, even managing to bring a smile to my face. I take a deep breath. Nothing good comes from staying nervous, as my father might say. Between the heat of the room and the chilled drinks covering the tables, a mist covers my glasses. Taking them in hand, I wipe them on my dress, only to feel glares from all around burning into my skin. That's nothing new. The set of doors across the room slide open, their silence a far cry from my own home. How nice that would be. Quiet doors when they open. I don't know what that is. Through the doorway walks a woman in the most gorgeous suit, but what catches my eye is the young boy walking behind her. After closing the doors behind them, the woman turns to address us. Her words barely register. Isn't it just polite lip service? Around me, the other girls seemed to buzz with newfound excitement at the mention of a name. Ren. With a polite bow, the woman steps aside, offering the stage to the young boy that had entered with her. Though he's my age, he holds a poise that felt beyond his years. Once more the platitudes wash over me, and I fix my eyes on the boy commanding the room. While nervous giggles flow through the guests, my mind keeps ticking over. His words aren't important. If anything, the whispers shooting through the room tell me all I need to know. Ren is the prince of this castle, and for the sake of my family, I must be his princess. Ooh. We have our eyes set on the prince. I mean, that was it from the beginning. We already knew that. I leave a long and exhausted sigh. What's with the long face now? Come on, smile. Ma, you've taken too many pictures. Let's go already. But it's your big day. She tinkers with the camera in her hand, careful as to not accidentally break it. Papa's dying to attend if it weren't for work. You see, I saw the words Papa's dying. I'm like, oh no. What's wrong with Papa? This has gone sad already. He asked me to take as many pictures instead. One is enough. Every other take is just the same face doing the same pose in front of the same gate. Then change it up, silly. True. Her eyes scan the area and lock onto a group of my classmates fooling around in the schoolyard. She points at them with her pinky. There, do you see them? They're taking lots of pictures as well. I bet you they barely passed their classes. Meanwhile, Miss Valedictorian here thinks she deserves less. Grades and pictures are not related. Besides, they're making memories with their friends. Mine is just for commemoration. Call your friends, then. I'd be happy to take their pictures, too. Forget it. See? Now move to the left a little bit and give me a big smile. The shutter clicks yet again. It's not about the pictures I'm complaining. It's just embarrassing standing here with all my classmates whose names I already can't remember are passing by us. I'm glad Pa isn't here. There's no knowing how embarrassing this would be. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and I know that I should let them indulge. They're proud of my achievements. I understand, and I'm happy that they are, but they're the ones I did it for, after all. Perhaps if we'd been taking pictures at home, I would have no qualms. My mother clicks her tongue and shakes the device. Darn, batteries are low already. That means it's time to go, at last. I should have brought the charger with me. Excuse me. Oh, I know. There's a restaurant that just opened nearby. Why don't we treat ourselves there? Don't you need to go to work? Oh, not for another hour. Let's just head home so you can rest before you go. You haven't eaten anything since morning. I'll cook something for myself. We don't need to go to a restaurant for that. We don't have the money either. Of course we... no, we don't. We're already behind rent because of this gown and that camera. That's for your papa and I to worry about. You, on the other hand, just enjoy today, okay? You're about to be part of the Yamato family. Money should be the least of your worries. Not until the marriage is final. So prissy. How are you going to make the Yamato kid like you if you're like that? I don't really have to have him like me. She sighs, touching her cheek. I've always been worried you're trying to get yourself into something you don't truly understand. Like what? This entire thing. You don't seem to be seeing marriage in the way you should. I'm seeing it the way the Yamatos do. I'll be fine. Honey, this is a huge commitment, and you seem to be taking it lightly. Marrying someone you don't have feelings for, that's... You can still kindly decline it and pursue something you want instead. But this is what I want. I've worked hard to get where we are now. I'm not backing out when it's already within reach. You've got enough things to worry about already. I can worry about myself now. She shows a dissatisfied frown, but chooses not to pry any further. You said you're going there tomorrow? Formally meeting them and introducing myself. The last time we met was during that big party 9 years ago, after all. I'd be surprised if he still remembers me. I'd love to accompany you there, but I'll be fine. It's just a visit. I might also visit them frequently now that school is over, to know more about what's needed of me and all. You'll have time to come eventually. Somehow I've distracted her enough out of the idea of eating out. I pulled on her arm and start walking home. The following day comes. I find myself standing in front of the Yamato's estate. Thank you for coming all the way today, Madame Risa. An unfamiliar woman in a business suit lowers her head as she greets me at the door. I have not introduced myself, nor have I told them that I'll be visiting today, but she seems to be expecting me. I lower my head at her. These formalities may be normal in this household, but I may not get used to it. Oh, thank you. I'm here to meet Sir Ren Yamato. Of course, madam. Right this way. She steps aside and points with her hand, inviting me in. I follow her to what looks like a waiting room more spacious than our family's entire apartment. The doors open directly to the garden. In one corner of the room sits a guy busy with his pen. I recognize him right away, even though it's been half my life since we last met. Your fiancé has arrived, sir. The guy looks up and immediately drops his work. He kindly points to the seat in front of him with his palm. Ah, yes, please. Take a seat. Risa, right? Yes, sir. I sit at the center table cautiously as he's standing up to join me. Just call me Ren. We're already engaged, after all. Okay, so, Ren. May I get you something to drink, madam? Oh, I'm good, thank you. We'll take tea for now, Ruth. Right away, sir. Ruth lowers her head once again as she exits the room. We could have prepared something better had we known you were coming today. It's fine, don't mind me. Nervous? Just a little bit out of place. You are part of the family now. Treat this household as your own and don't hesitate to ask for assistance, whenever. I'll try, thank you. I glance over at the table he was just at. Papers rustling in the wind are held down by a small piece of rock. You seem to be in the middle of something. I'm sorry to disturb you. Nothing to be sorry about. Work has just piled up recently. I hope you don't mind the mess. Not at all. His kind tone and welcoming attitude make me comfortable, despite his rather impassive expression. It's really nice to meet you again. I heard you were at the top of your class. That's admirable. That means a lot coming from you. I'm honored that you have chosen me among all other great candidates. It was my parents who did, but I trust their decisions. They're not around, unfortunately. No one knows when they'll return yet. Oh, I see. I should offer them my gratitude when I finally meet them. Were you homeschooled? That's correct. My parents prefer tutors to ensure that I'm being taught thoroughly in each subject. I see. That must be nice. I suppose I'm also at the top of my class. That's one thing in common. He cracks a slight smile with that playful comment. I can sympathize with that comment. I too was homeschooled my entire life, and I actually use that all the time where I graduated at the top of my class. I am amused. Ruth comes in carrying a pot in one hand and a stack of teacups in the other. She courteously places them on our table. Young master, you have another guest today. Should I let her in? Please do. As you wish. Ren pours himself a cup of tea as Ruth stands up and leaves. I'm a bit confused what I should do. Should I get going? No, it's fine. A few people have just been visiting to show their gratitude and blessings. It would be better if you're here with me for them to greet. Is that so? Why don't you move over to my side? Sure. I walk on my knees to take a seat right beside him as he requested. It's nerve-wracking both being this close to him and having to meet another candidate. Ruth returns, this time with the other guests behind her. She enters the room without waiting for an introduction. Hello, Rose. Hey, Ren. It's been a while. Ruth quietly closes the door behind this energetic girl as she makes herself comfortable seated across from us. Would you like some tea? Sounds lovely, but I'll pass. Mom and Dad couldn't make it today, but I wanted to come visit at all costs. That's understandable. How have you been? Absolutely great. And your work? Never ending. As always, then. They both giggle. She turns to me and finally acknowledges my existence. Oh, you must be Risa. I am. Nice to meet you. So cute. What a lucky guy you are, Ren. I can't help but notice how expressive Ren is right now. From the looks of it, they've been good friends for a while already. Maybe Ren just feels more comfortable with her around. Anyway, if I had to guess, other girls have paid you a visit already, and I'm here for the same reason. I'm really happy for you two. She takes a step back to prostrate herself before us. On behalf of my family, I'd like to thank the Yamato family for the great opportunity I was given. It means a lot. I'm just about to take a bow back instinctively when Ren gently taps me on the knee. The pleasure was ours, Rose. I appreciate your participation. Rose sits back with a bright smile on her face. Have you guys decided when the wedding will be? It hasn't been decided yet. We'd like to have Risa and her family comfortable with us first. It may not be for another year. Don't let us know once it's set. Do let us know when it's set. My parents and I would love to be there. We will surely send you an invitation. Great. I can't wait to see you in the wedding dress, Risa. Thank you. I'm sure you would look better in one. Don't put yourself down. She helps herself up. Well then, I have to take my leave. Thanks for the visit, Rose. Take care on your way home. I will. Have a great day. She bows once more with a big smile and heads towards the door. She waits at the last minute before closing the door behind her. The once cheerful room goes quiet. Such a lively girl. She's always been. You two seem close. Oh, yes. She had kept me company every once in a while. Do you like her? That may have come out of my mouth without me thinking, but I'm curious. He looks at me puzzled for a few seconds before directing his stare outside. Does it look like it? Smile never left her face the entire time she was here. I don't know much about that, but maybe I am. He massages the bridge of his nose. And you're okay with this? He takes a sip of his tea, but it's obvious he's dodging the question. He gently places the cup back down on the table, playing with it by tipping it just enough for the liquid to reach the edge of the rim. I'm sorry if I'm prying into your matters. Oh, 1 second. My socks are unnecessary at this time. It's fine. He continues to play with his half-full cup. How much do you know about the Amato family? I know about it being the most prestigious family. It doesn't look like that's the response he was waiting for. Try to think of another answer. I know that your family values traditions a lot, staying true to the customs that have been passed down throughout the generations. I know that you prioritize the physical and mental wellness of your descendants above all else. I know that the firstborn gets to inherit everything that gets passed down to the next generation. Funny, isn't it? What is? That I get to inherit everything? I'm the one that passed down the tradition to my children and so on, even when I'm not even the firstborn. I turn to him, dumbfounded by the news I'm hearing for the first time. I'm not familiar with their family matters to begin with, but what I'm learning right now is not a small matter. The fact that I have not heard of it even as a rumor means that almost no one outside their family knows about it. I have a brother, you see. A much older one. May I ask where he is now? Who knows? He cut all ties with us a long time ago. You see, he chose to stick with his selfish decision over his duties. He chose to be with a woman he loves against my parents' will. Against our family's tradition. That's a novel-worthy story. It's the first time in our bloodline that something like this has happened. Romantic, some would say. Brave, even. But I see neither of those. He's a disgrace, prioritizing his own emotions. Our traditions exist for a reason, and we kept our status because of it. I'm my family's last chance. I won't ruin our tradition for some trivial emotions. Oh, awkward. He takes another sip. I am lost for words. Ren's devotion to his family has earned my utmost respect, though part of me sides with his brother. I don't think his brother's decision was wrong in any way. I have not experienced love yet myself, but that's not to say I don't understand it. The mere image of wanting to be with someone else warms my heart. It's beautiful. To be deprived of that because of your duties. It must be tough. As much as I would want to know the feeling firsthand, I'm not blessed with a person I feel so strongly towards. But Ren? He knows that feeling and chooses to keep to himself. Something's just not right. What do you feel about Rose? Do you want to spend time with her? It doesn't matter, no. It still does. Your dedication to your family is impressive, and I can tell you've done a lot. You should be allowed to be selfish every once in a while, even if that's just to spend a little time with someone you're attracted to. Why has my fiancé asked me to spend time with another girl? I don't see anything wrong with spending time with someone. Besides, I think my fiancé deserves happiness before the ring is in place. His hesitant gaze is right at me. I still got a lot to learn around here, and the wedding is not for another year, as you said. Are you really sure about this? Am I suggesting out of sympathy? Out of pity? Out of guilt? My gut tells me this is the right thing to do, but Rose can give him something I probably will never be able to. I'd be hurt to see him bereaved. I am. I insist. He lets a breeze out through his nose. I'll have her requested for another visit soon. Without much opposition from him, I get up and talk to Ruth to do just that. A lot is happening in just a short amount of time. Excuse me. Rose had arranged to come visit again after a few days, and I've made sure I'm here to greet her. Risa, good afternoon. How are you today? Oh, fantastic. You're looking adorable today. Why, thank you. I'm sorry to have you over on such short notice. Oh, don't mention it. Is there something wrong? I rest my cheek on my palm, pretending to be constructing my statement in my head. To tell you the truth, I've got a favor to ask. If it's anything I can do. I'd like to help Ruth out around the house, and I would not have much time to spend with Ren. I noticed the other day that you're good friends with him, and was wondering if you'd be willing to keep him company from time to time. Oh. She looks at me as if waiting for a catch. Oh, absolutely. It'd be an honor. Really? That would be wonderful. I'm sorry to have you involved in this. I just don't know anyone else. I know it's my responsibility and all. She takes a step closer towards me and holds my hand with both of hers. Don't you worry, Risa. I have you covered. Got plenty of time to spare now, anyway. Great. I escort her to Ren's study. Rose has come to visit, Ren. Ah, yes. Come in, Rose. The smile on his face is back. I knew this was the right thing to do. I hope you don't mind me being here. I've just got nothing better to do. Not at all. I'd love to have you over. Must be tough being confined in your house on this lovely day. I'm behind work. I can't complain. What about you? The warm atmosphere doesn't take long to develop. My presence is just in the way of them. Well then, I'll have to excuse myself. Oh, you're not joining us? I'm afraid I have to help out Ruth out. Are you sure? You don't have to. I would like to be of any help to her. Alright then. Don't overexert yourself. I'll be sure not to. Please enjoy your time together. They continue where their conversation left off almost instantly. It's fun watching them chatter like kids left alone at a park. I take my exit quietly as to not interrupt them and head next door where Ruth is. Hello, Madame Riza. I stop her just as she's about to stand and bow. It's fine, don't be considerate of me. I can't do that, madam. I know, I'm just not used to being catered to. Perhaps you can make an exception? Understood, madam. I prefer being called by my name instead, but that might be too much to ask right away. At least she agrees not to lower her head every time she greets me. I say that's progress. Is there anything I can help you with? I have everything under control, madam. I see. I'm here if you happen to need a hand. I'd be happy to help, but I insist. She keeps up her professional demeanor, but her slight body movement tells me she's still hesitant to give me anything to do. Well, can I at least take a seat here until you need me? By all means, madam. Make yourself comfortable. I nod and take a seat on her small couch as she goes back to work. The room is surrounded by bookshelves, housing a variety of books. Each looks more complicated than the last. Does she read all these? Are these for work? Records? Are you sure about this, Madame Riza? About what? Having Rose over for young Master Ren. I'm sure you've caught how he feels about her. Do you think Ren will change his mind? Master Ren would not oppose his parents' pick. I'm afraid it is you who might change your mind, madam. When that happens, the Yamato would pick the next in line in the selection. That person happens to be the one Master Ren is with right now. So Rose is the second choice. It must have been a close match. I'm not sure why Ruth thinks I would change my mind, however. Is that so? I can tell you I don't plan to change my mind at all. I'm just letting them spend time with each other. Understood. Are you sure you don't need my help with anything right now? I'm just organizing young Master Ren's month as much as I can right now, madam. Understood. That reminds me. What does Ren work on anyway? Young Master is a statistical analyst. I see. Sounds complicated. He has always had a strong affinity with numbers. Like me. This Ren guy and I are like, yeah. I like this Ren guy. He's always only still young, but it won't be long until his parents' friends would start consulting him professionally. Such a young age. Is that the family business of Yamato's? It is not, madam. Is that so? I would have guessed they're all passing down a single profitable family business. I'm afraid they don't have such a thing as a family business. The Yamato family operates under a single simple statement. Family, freedom, and fun. Each member of the family is free to pursue what they're passionate about. What if someone wants to do nothing? Then they would do just that. Well, that won't be very profitable, would it? How are they able to hold their status for such a long time if such is the case? The answer is that so simple yet complicated to explain. To keep it short, due to their basic needs being already met, they are able to focus on doing what they like. If that happens to gather the money, then they wouldn't need it for themselves and would instead pass it down to their children to make sure they live comfortable lives. Then the cycle essentially continues. This is why it is important to them that they produce healthy offsprings. I see. Can't say I fully understand it, but somehow it all makes sense. Since you're now part of the family, the same goes for you. You're free to pursue anything you want. I haven't thought much about what I wanted to do. I was under the impression that I would be helping around. Of course not, madam. Well, until I figure out, that's what I'll do. Understood. Turns out there's a lot I still need to learn about the Yamato family. Being with Ruth somehow makes me more comfortable than with Ren. The conversation dies down and my eyes go back to wandering around the room. Could I perhaps bring you something to drink? Why, yes. Why, yes, you could. Thank you. That'll be all, Ruth. Thank you. Don't worry. I can help myself. I stand up and head for the exit. I happen to pass by Ren's room. I can't help but stop and watch how much fun they're having. Sitting at the corner of the room with such a nice view, I crack a smile, a small hidden smile, proud of what I've done for Ren. It was definitely a good idea. I leave them alone for the entire day. Rose starts coming over almost every day, leaving just before afternoon ends. Every day, without fail. Every day she visits, it seems like they have new stories to share. It's amazing. Imagine if they spent every day like this, unending smiles and laughters. They look so cute together. They're almost made for each other. I wonder how Rose feels about Ren. She was a candidate, so I'm sure it has crossed her mind. I'm sure she was prepared to develop feelings for him if she hasn't already. Something I didn't do. If it weren't for me, I shake the thought out of my head. Yeah, if it wasn't for me, she would have been number one, and this would all be out of the equation. In the next few days, no, a few weeks, I've preoccupied my time with helping Ruth out, leaving Ren and Rose almost undisturbed. Frantic footsteps ring out down the hallway, their owner flying from one room to the next. A quick glance at her wrist brings a subtle frown to her face. Ruth? Ren's attendant turns to face me, her worry dissipating in the blink of an eye. If I hadn't just seen it for myself, I would never have guessed anything was wrong. Oh, Risa, how good to see you. You caught me at a difficult time. You didn't happen to pass Sir Ren on your way, did you? I shake my head. What's the matter? Is there something I can do? A moment of hesitation and another glance at her watch is all it takes. If you'd be so kind, it's not terribly pressing, only some papers to be signed, but I have my own schedule to keep. Shall I find him for you? Relief wails in Ruth's eyes, but never cracks her composed visage. Professional to a fault, but nothing short of excellent in her work. No wonder she's by Ren's side. But then what of me? I'll leave it to you then, Risa. She wastes no time in dashing off, a quick bow offered in parting. Hey, I told you not to do that. Not supposed to bow. What idle thoughts I'd had were scattered. Where would Ren be at a time like this? If it's Ren, it's hardly a question. The first port of call would be his study, and with the sun high in the sky, it would be quite the sight. I stride towards his study, bouncing with every step. Maybe I'm getting to know him better than I thought. Muffled voices reach my ears from down the hallway. One clearly Ren, but the other? He sounds happy. As indifferent as I am to my future husband, a smile creases my face. Everybody deserves some joy in life. I slide up to the door, peeking through the gap. Inside, a pair of figures shine in the light, a deep warmth embracing them. Are you sure you have time for me now, Ren? Last I visited, you told me your schedule. Nothing that can't wait, Rose. You needed to see me, didn't you? There it is. The warm tone that I've never been given. The tone tinged with sadness. The atmosphere is heavy enough to root me to the spot outside. Though Ruth has trusted me to find Ren, I feel in my heart that I shouldn't. No, I mustn't step in. It's been a while since we joined the sun like this, hasn't it? About 2 years. Feels so long ago and yet like only yesterday. Ren. Her golden locks bounce as she spins on her companion, his eyes widening as the rays of light set her aglow. I don't dare breathe. The deathly silence that hangs in the air as she calls his name smothers all. Are you happy like this? He looks past Rose, avoiding her gaze. I always enjoy these evenings. Ren. His gaze is pulled back to her unwavering eyes. How many more evenings like this might we have, as things are... won't last forever. Rose steps closer. I'm happy for you, Ren. You found somebody who can share your burden. Rose. Does she make you happy? Ren's gaze drops. Oh. She's what's best for the Yamato family. What I desire doesn't matter. I won't become my brother. Don't talk like that. Rose snaps back at him, his gaze shooting back to meet hers. You might not think there's more to life than your family, Ren, but don't sacrifice yourself. And what am I supposed to do? You don't know what it's like having your older brother walk out on you. To hear his decision to elope as he looks you dead in the eye. For the first time in my life, I hear Ren raise his voice and flinch. Yet the girl before him stands strong, taking on his rage. Do you know what his eyes told me? Sorry. He made it clear to me then and there. I'd lost. He sacrificed my future, our future, so he could live his own. Rose's eyes widened. I'm sorry, Ren. For what? No, this is your fault, Rose. I really blew it, didn't I? If I'd won the selection, but you didn't. No amount of regret will change that now. Ren's voice strains as he forces out the words he doesn't want to say. Hey, Ren. Yes, Rose? Can you see us standing here just like this in 10 years? In 30? We couldn't. The head of the Amatos entertaining a former candidate in private for so many years? It would be scandalous. Not if I wasn't a former candidate. She steps closer, closing what little distance still remains between them. I'm sure I wouldn't make a bad wife. My throat runs dry as I refuse to even swallow, lest I make a sound. Should I interrupt? If I don't, then what becomes of me, of my family? What of Rose? If I find myself mouthing traitorous words, if only I back down, then Rose would be able to take my place. Stuck in limbo, I find myself unable to call out and unable to walk away. Truly how pathetic I am. I gave my word to my family, to Risa. To not follow through would be a shame upon the Amatos, I know. Rose takes a deep breath, drawing her shoulders back. I've always known your pride would come first, but somehow I found myself drawn to that side of you too. Say, Ren? She stretches out a hand, gently grasping Ren's arm. His own fingers reach for hers, but they curl away. What is it, Rose? Can I ask you for one last favor? Of course. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it. With eyes closed, she leans into Ren until their lips meet. And yet I feel not an ounce of jealousy. No desire. The pair remain for what feels a lifetime. So slowly do mere seconds pass before my eyes, and then a cold shiver shoots down my spine. Rose opens her eyes, meeting mine. How long had she known? Had Ren known? My head is spinning as my pulse races. But as if nothing had happened, Rose closes her eyes once more for the final moment of her embrace with Ren. As she draws away, I can't see if Ren follows. Part of me doesn't want to know. They finally separate, Rose taking 3 steps back. Neither dare make a sound lest they break the spell. There's only one recourse. Giving them a few moments, I pick myself up. Okay, Risa. You've got this. And I enter the room. Oh, Ren, so you were hiding here after all. Ruth sent me to attend my duties. I'm aware. Then it would be best I don't keep her. Thank you, Risa. With heavy words, Ren walks from the room. Ren. I watch him leave, my back turned on the girl who just spilled her heart out. Words abandon me. As Ren vanishes beyond the doorway, her whispers fill the room. That must have given you quite the show. I didn't want to interrupt the two of you. How thoughtful. Her eyes are distant, looking somewhere far away to something beyond her reach. This long, tired sigh embraces her lips. Gazing at them only reminds me of their embrace. To be honest with you, Risa, yes, this is my first time meeting a voyeur. My heart really started racing when I saw you. I can't help but worry you might have awakened something. Can we hurry up and put it behind us? I'm not particularly proud of it, you know. My brows knit together, but Rose only chuckles at my frustration. When her eyes had first met mine through the doorway, I could have sworn a fire burned inside, but the way she spoke... You aren't angry at me for spying on you? Angry? The churning in my stomach makes the wait for her words stretch on and on. Is she doing it to me on purpose? I say forgive and forget. There are worse things to worry about in life, and I'm sure I'd have done the same. I breathe a sigh of relief only to hear that trademark giggle. I don't think we've ever had much of a chat before, have we? For all the time we spend around one another, it amazes me. I think back on the days we spent skittering around the Amato estate. Despite me being Ren's fiancée, Rose had dominated his time. I'd rarely had a chance to even offer my greetings, let alone have a leisurely talk. I think you're right. How odd. Isn't it? I couldn't help but smile at the idle chatter, warmth slowly returning to the room. What do you do for fun, Risa? I've been trying gardening lately myself, but I'm loath to admit it, but I think my name is the closest I'll get to that talent. I choked back a laugh, but not well enough for Rose's keen eyes, a grin breaching her face. That's a surprise. I thought you'd have been natural. If only. I'm sure you're a magnificent gardener, Risa. Gardening, huh? My eyes turned to Ren's gardener, with not so much as a single leaf out of place. I can't even begin to imagine the work that goes into maintaining it. Rose tilts her head softly to one side, regarding me curiously. You've never tried? I've never had the chance. Our home doesn't have a garden, after all. Oh, I see. That's quite a shame. Although before long, I'm sure you could have an entire field to yourself if you wished. Lucky. Rose's lips twist into a wry smirk. There's a lot of luck in this world, and if it finds me or my family, I'd be a fool to refuse it. Well, it certainly seems you'll all be living a good life. How nice it will be. My body stiffens. The Fire's back, burning inside her eyes as fiercely as before. I clench my fist until my knuckles turn white, fighting to hold what courage I can muster. I could want nothing more than warmth for the parents who gave me everything. How touching. It really brings a tear to the eye. Rose dabs at the corner of her eye, dry as a bone. Do you stop to think what it costs along the way, Risa? To be chosen by the Yamatos despite your humble roots, it's nothing short of fantasy. To meet your prince, for it to be love at first sight. Oh wait, that's not quite right, is it? Rose, I guess my future with Ren just wasn't meant to be. My mouth runs dry. What can I say? She's a necessary casualty. She'll find somebody new. Don't think I like seeing you two apart. Rose's eyes twitch. And yet you still toss us aside. For what, money? There's plenty of money in the world, but only so many soulmates. Don't you see that? Pain flares up my hand, my nails digging into my skin. She's not wrong. In fact, if somebody is in the wrong, it's me for being so selfish. For asking so much, and yet I won't apologize. You're sacrificing Ren's future for your own. Doesn't that bother you? Don't doom Ren to a loveless life when you're nothing but a gold digger. I feel a punch to my gut with her trailing words. She's right. For the sake of my family, I would sacrifice Ren's love with a rose 100 times over. If it means having the money for a good life, there's nothing I won't do. And yet part of me knows I'm being greedy. No matter how my heart might waver, I won't falter. Some chances are too precious to let slip by. A bang shoots out as the door flies open. In the doorway stands Ren, his eyes trained on the ground between us. You're back. That didn't take long. With my words, I unwittingly undo the magic that had bound him to that spot. His eyes regain focusing. He strides towards Rose. No, surely... Ren! Wait. I shoot out a hand, but he slips by too quickly. Until... This house doesn't welcome those who would badmouth our family. Ren, she didn't. You're soon to be part of the Yamato family, Risa. That's how things are decided, and no matter what some might wish. His voice catches slightly in his throat, but he continues, forcing the words out. No matter what some might wish, that's how it will be. I'm sure you can find your way out, Rose, or shall I have Ruth escort you? The girl clutches her cheek, refusing to let tears spill from her eyes as she stares defiantly back at Ren. In that moment, I could tell she holds a strength that I could never dream of. Sorry, Ren. Goodbye. Goodbye. Such are the final words between the two. Rose is gone, never looking back, unable to see how Ren's eyes follow her departure or how they shine in the light. I walk to his side, staying a few steps back. He keeps clenching his fist, open, and closed, but the shaking won't stop. I'm sorry. If I'd handled things better. You too. Huh? Ren? What do you... I have work to finish by tonight. Ruth is relying on me. Even as his eyes refuse to meet mine, the lie in his voice rings loud and clear. The sight of Ren's back is haunting. Once so strong and so confident, now shriveled, his gaze lingering on his stinging hand. Tomorrow, then. I wait for parting words or a wave of a hand, and when it's clear there will be no such sign, I leave the room. Wiping the mist from my glasses, I fight the burning in my eyes. That turned quick. Where's my... That's funny, I don't have my mouse right now. Quick save, there it is. Quick save. The house is quiet. For such a large estate, that might not be so unusual, but I still take a pause as I step inside on my daily visit. Is it worth my time? I'm not sure. For days I've not heard a sound from Ren. The sound of his hand. I rub my arm, a chill running through my body. If only I'd thought things through more. Risa, are you okay? Huh? Standing before me, Ruth regards me with a good deal of confusion. When did she... forget it. Doesn't matter. What am I doing? Turning up only to space out. Oh, it's you, Ruth. Sorry, I have a lot on my mind lately. Ruth flashes me an understanding smile. Even though she hadn't been party to the events surrounding Rose's departure, she watched over Ren for long enough to pick up the signs. I take it you're here for Ren today, too. Is he taking visitors? The past couple of visits I've arrived only to pace outside Ren's study. Seeing him sitting alone, whatever words I'd wanted to give him had vanished from my mind. Would he even want to see me? That fear had kept me distant even as he suffered. She turns her head, glancing towards what could only be Ren's location. Gears turn over and over before she lets out a steadying breath. Seems I've forgotten. Whatever had he said? Ruth. I'm sure he said something. But oh dear, how unlike me. It would seem in all the extra work I have, it slipped my mind. Ruth hangs her head in shame. She smiles as she spins her back to me, pacing away into the depths of the estate. Thank you, Ruth. Forgetting my duties? For future remember of the Yamatos? You'd do better to chastise me, Risa. Usually composed Ruth unceremoniously waves her hand in parting. She's a mystery all of her own, but one I'll have to unravel another day. In that case... She looked towards the study, right? I turned to follow where Ruth's eyes had pointed moments ago. There's only one room where Ren would be. The very room I've hesitated to enter ever since that day. Really, causing her so much trouble? I'll have to complain on Ruth's behalf when I see him. To make her worry is utterly unfair to him. Of him. A familiar doorway looms before me. My fingers curl away from the handle as I reach toward it, my heart jumping in my chest. This won't be like last time. I open the door as quietly as I can, taking great care to close it behind me. Across the room, lonely back faces me. 1 step. 2. On my 3rd, I am made to pause. Ruth, do you need something? I'm busy. Surely whatever it is, it can wait. His eyes briefly move from the ground of the garden to the clouds scrolling above and by above. Through our silence, he regards them with what I can only imagine as a great indifference. And I thought I'd told her I didn't want guests. How bothersome. You're lucky to have her by your side. Do you intend to turn me away? No. In a way, I'm glad to see you. This house has felt terribly empty of late. Haha, whose fault might that be? I close the distance between us as his eyes turn to rest on his lap once more. Sitting beside Ren, their target becomes clear. I made it hard for you to talk to me recently. I'm sorry for that, Risa. To have acted so pathetically, it's unlike me. His fingertips curl with his words. If anybody should apologize, it should be me. If it weren't for my suggestion, this would never... Do you really think you can absolve me of my mistakes? No, Risa. I did what I did to protect the Yamato name. You're soon to be a Yamato, just as I am, to tolerate such belittlement. Ren's voice cracks. But at the price of your own happiness? You can't just accept that, Ren. But even when I tried to help, I just drove you further apart. A chuckle breaks forth from Ren's lips. How can you find this funny? You're my bride-to-be. Wouldn't you say you were just doing your job? Magnificently at that. But I'm only here for my own gain. I can never give you the future that Rose could. Ren's hand twitches at her name. You're right. But is there anything wrong with that? He turns his gaze on me, his eyes peering into the depths of mine. Our union? It's a business transaction. Nothing more, nothing less. Something of benefit to both parties. So you're right, Risa. I can't imagine I'll ever come to love you as I did Rose, but I can provide you with a home, and your family with security, and in turn, I'll carry on the Yamato lineage. See? A fair trade to my eyes. So don't let anybody speak of you that way again. To run your name through the dirt is to disgrace the Yamatos, to disgrace your family. A wry grin comes my way, one I can't resist returning. It's so laughable, yet with this my family's future is assured. They'll never have to worry again. I laugh. All that talk as a child of a prince to whisk me away to happiness. Will my parents be proud? Or will they condemn me for putting them first? A family for a family. To protect my own, I will carry on the Yamato bloodline. If my life were told as a fairy tale, what form would it take? Would it commend me for my dedication? Celebrate my sacrifices in the name of the greater good? Or would I be a cautionary tale, a fable against throwing away your future? Only time will tell how the story of the selfish princess might unfold, of the girl who gave herself to a loveless life. A future without romance. The end. Hello, Korgs! Wait, what is happening? Well, you just missed basically everything. And that's the end. Welcome. Welcome to the end. GG. I gotta find my mouse again. How awkward. There we go.